Hi, and welcome to the Daily Vent. My name is Nicole, and I am your host. I am a mom to a 23-week little boy who is now 2, and he is trach and vent and G-tube dependent. We are slowly taking away that vent dependency because he is now off of the vent all awake hours, which is super exciting. But anyway, I just wanted to share that because I'm so excited. But anyway, today's episode, we will be having a local mom come on and share her story and her son's story. I actually was introduced to her back in January. Her son was born at the same exact hospital as John, had a lot of the same NICU nurses as he did as well. And when they decided to do the trach, it was suggested to her to reach out to me. And I was very happy that she reached out and talked to her throughout the pre-op of the trach and the trach journey and post-op and all that fun stuff that comes along with it. Unfortunately, her son Leo has now passed away. She wanted to come on here and share his story and talk about their journey and everything that these babies have to go through and everything that the parents go through as well. She is so brave and reached out to me because she wants to help other people. I just think that that is incredible. I am very excited to have her on and allow her to share everything with you all that she's wanting to. So please welcome Katie to the podcast. Well, welcome, Katie.
Hi.
We are so excited to have you on and have you share Leo's story and your story. And
Yeah.
so I want to go ahead and just ask you about you, your husband. Go ahead and tell me your whatever you want to tell me about pregnancy, your birth story. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Hi, I'm Katie. My husband's name is Bruce. We've been together 11 years this
Wow.
year. So we had quite the journey trying to get pregnant. We tried to get pregnant naturally for I really don't even know how long, like a long time. And then there was times where we were like, not really trying, but also not like preventing anything. And then like it got to the point where we were like, okay, like we're still not getting pregnant. So then I started bringing it up to my OB that, we're having problems getting pregnant naturally. And she ordered all the tests and everything. We had a lot of like blood work done. He had tests done. I had a surgery done to clear one of my fallopian tubes.
Okay.
I have this test done. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called an HSG test,
Mm-mm.
where it's basically like how they test to see like if your fallopian tubes are blocked. And it's like you go under an X-ray and they inject this dye into you. And on the X-ray, they're watching to see if like the dye spills through your fallopian tubes into your uterus to like be able to see if your fallopian tubes are blocked or not.
Okay.
So I actually did have a blocked fallopian tube, and which I had to have a surgery to clear that. So we did that surgery, and my OB was basically like, okay, after this surgery, try for a couple more months to get pregnant. If you're still not getting pregnant naturally, then I really can't do anything else for you. And then you'll need to probably go see like a reproductive doctor, like a reproductive endocrinologist. So that's what we did. We had to do IVF. We
Oh gosh.
discovered that when we first, got to the reproductive endocrinologist. She's like, that's probably going to be your guys' best bet. That was like July of 2023.
Okay.
And then we did, so IVF has like several different steps to it. We did our egg retrieval in, I think it was November of 2023. And we had a very successful egg retrieval. We got 7 embryos from it. So we had 7 frozen embryos. One of those was Leo. We transferred him in March of 2024. There was a few months, well, what was it? November was the transfer. And then it wasn't until November was the egg retrieval. And then we couldn't do the transfer until March because my thyroid level was elevated, which I didn't know I had an issue with that until we started doing IVF. So I had to go on medication for that. And they had to like get all of that in check before we could do the transfer. So that was a whole journey in and of itself. And then We did get pregnant though, our first transfer with our little Leo. So with that, I mean, we were successful, but it was just the whole thing was difficult, like getting pregnant. And then the beginning of the pregnancy, let me know if I'm like talking too much too. It's just
No, you're fine. Did you ever
like
find out though what caused your infertility at the beginning? Like, did you ever figure it out?
so it was partly male factor, and then I think partly was like the blocked fallopian tube, and then my thyroid contributing to it as well. It was just
Okay.
like a mixture of things. So that's why the IVF doctor was like, this is going to be your best bet to
Okay.
get pregnant the quickest, and the most like the highest success chances for our situation.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh,
but then we got pregnant from the transfer. I found that out April 1st. I remember 2024. And then how you find out you're pregnant with IVF is they have you come in like 10 days. I think it was 10 days after the transfer to do a blood test to see what your HCG hormone level is. And that's like what you pick up on a home pregnancy test in your urine, but they
hmm.
do it in your blood. So they did that, found out I was pregnant. They called me, a couple hours later. Of course, I was like overjoyed, crying, we're all ecstatic. And then they have you come in again 48 hours later to see that your HCG level is doubling.
Hmm.
And this is where things kind of like started to get like bad, and just like worrisome. So at that appointment, my HCG level, it rose, but it didn't double. So they were like, really worried. I remember it was like a Friday. So it was like the doctor was like busy and couldn't get in touch with me. But it was like people at the office were like calling me and just like giving me kind of like vague answers as to like if the pregnancy is viable. Like they were saying, like the doctor is remaining cautiously optimistic. And I'm like, well, what the heck does that mean? Like,
Hmm.
is this going to be okay or not? Like, and then I remember it was, I think Monday they called me and like they were like, you need to come into the office right now. Like, and I was like, why? Like I was worried, of course. And they're like, we want to see, I think they wanted to do an ultrasound because they were worried about the fact that the HCG level was not doubling. So I came in, I was so worried, crying, obviously, because so I really only got to be like excited about my pregnancy for like one day. And then I was like just worried from then on out because when I came in, we did the ultrasound and everything looked okay on the ultrasound, but the doctor was like, it's very, very, very unlikely that this pregnancy is going to go on to be a successful pregnancy. She's like, I've seen this happen, and it's usually ends up being a chemical pregnancy, which is like a miscarriage, early
Hmm.
on. Um, so she's like, I'm going to let you keep going because she's like, everything looks okay on the ultrasound. She's like, it's weird that your HCG is not doubling, but everything looks okay on the ultrasound. So I'm going to let you like keep taking your IVF meds, but I want you to come back. I think it was like 2 weeks. And we're going to check again to see if everything's developing properly. I went back 2 weeks later and they were looking to see if like the heartbeat was starting to develop, and it did. So she was like, you're going to keep going, come back 2 more weeks later. Everything was looking fine. I graduated from my IVF clinic, went to my OB, but I just like had a feeling the whole pregnancy that like something was off because of all that, and I still feel like that might have contributed to like what happened with Leo. I really do, because
To the high blood pressure?
well,
To
with
that
that
or to?
and with the high blood pressure stuff, and also just the fact that because so Leo was 30 weeks when he was
Hmm.
born. All the neonatologists were like, "This is weird that his lungs are this bad. Like he should not be this sick for 30 weeks. Like it's
Yeah.
weird." Like some of them were like, "His lungs are more like a 22, 23 weeker."
And
Like
he
when I
and you
see
didn't
like
have your water broke either. Like your water
no,
didn't break
none
either.
of
So he
none of that,
had
nothing
fluid.
happened. Yeah, he was just small. For some reason, he was not growing. He wasn't growing. Like, so everything was fine. Like at my anatomy scan, 20 weeks, everything was fine. And then it was like 25 weeks. My mom noticed. My mom was actually antepartum, postpartum nurse for like 35 years. So she knows the signs to look out for like preeclampsia and stuff. And she was just noticing that my face was starting to look puffy. And also I was like not getting big at all. Like I did not ever look pregnant. The whole time I was pregnant, I never looked pregnant. Like I'll show
And
you a picture.
you're petite too, so like
Yeah,
yeah.
right, right. Like you would have thought that I didn't look pregnant at all. Like I feel like I am heavier now than I was when I was pregnant, honestly. Like it's crazy. And that's another reason why we were like, something's weird. Like he's not growing. Like, and my OBs kind of like were brushing it off. Like they're like, oh, you're probably just small. Like, like some people are just small when they're pregnant.
Mhm.
Like, and I love my OB, but I saw like several of them there, and there was one in particular that kind of just like brushed me off and was like, well, you're probably just small. Like, it's okay. And that was around when I was 25 weeks. As we noticed, I did my blood pressure at home when my mom noticed that I was starting to look puffy, and it was like on the higher end. And that's when my OB was like, go in. I went to Morton Plant in Clearwater because I live in like Clearwater area. I don't know. Where do you live?
We're in Tampa. We're in like
Like,
Pasco County, like Wesley
okay.
Chapel area. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I live in like Largo, Seminole,
Okay.
Largo area.
Mhm.
Um, so I went in. At first, they were like ready to just send me home because my blood pressure was fine there. But my mom was with me, and we were like, "She's small. Like something's going
Mhm.
on. Like she's not getting big. Everybody just keeps saying she's fine, but we feel like something is not right." So I did an ultrasound, and they saw he was measuring small. And my OB was like, "Okay, I want you to stay so that you can see the maternal fetal medicine doctors, which are, like the high risk doctors." So I stayed there at Morton Plant, and I saw the high risk doctors the next day. I don't remember much other than they told me that I couldn't work anymore. And I teach dance.
Mhm.
So I was like devastated because like I'm really committed to that and love that and everything. And they were like, yeah. And we had just started our season. So they're like, can't teach at all. You have to be on bed rest. So I was like, looking back on it, I feel like I was kind of a baby about it. And I should have just, I mean, I wasn't. I listened and everything. But like looking back,
Hindsight's
like now,
2020.
I wish like I could go back to that. Like,
Yeah.
because,
Mhm.
because I was still pregnant with him and, I was blessed to be pregnant with
Mhm.
everything that I went through just to get pregnant. So, but yeah, so then from there at Morton Plant, they transferred me to St. Joseph's Women's Hospital in case I had delivered at that point, because they have the level 4 NICU there and I was 25 weeks. They couldn't do anything, for the baby at Morton Plant. So, because that NICU is not as high level as the one at St. Joe's. So they sent me over there in an ambulance, and I stayed there for a couple more days just for them to monitor me and Leo and everything. And at that point, he was small. He was like I think 11th percentile, and they have to be I want to say like 9th percentile is what they said, I believe, to be considered growth restricted. So at that point, they like weren't saying he had intrauterine growth restriction, but he was like on the edge of that, and I had the blood pressure issues. So they were like, "You need to go home and stay on bed rest, and we want you to take your blood pressure every day and send it to us. And like, if anything's going wrong at home, you're going to come right back." So I made it 3 more weeks at home, and then I went back to the maternal fetal medicine doctor, and then this is when like shit really hit the fan. So at that appointment, they did another ultrasound, and he was like, I think the 3rd percentile. So like he like just wasn't growing at all at that point. Like from the last time they measured him to that point, he like barely grew at all, and it had been like 3 weeks. So the doctor was like, "Oh, you're gonna hate me, but you got to go back to women's, and you're probably gonna stay there till you deliver." So I was like, I was devastated, obviously, because I didn't want to have to stay in the hospital for. At that week, I was 28 weeks. So, I was thinking hopefully that I was still going to make it to as close to full term as I could. So I was
Mhm.
like, oh my God, I'm going to be in the hospital for like months.
Yeah.
So that day I went to the hospital, got admitted, stayed there, had, strips done twice a day to monitor Leo and had blood pressures done, I don't know, every 4 hours. There were times when I had like real high blood pressures and they had to give me like IV blood pressure medication and everything. And then what started to happen was, I like, so I had preeclampsia, but they always kept saying like I had like an atypical form of it. Like I didn't have protein in my urine. I didn't have like, my blood pressure was high, but it wasn't like crazy high all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then what happened is my labs started getting real bad. So like my liver enzymes were starting to elevate and my platelet count was starting to drop, which that means you're starting to go towards what's called HELP syndrome, which
Mm-hmm.
is like a severe form of preeclampsia. So when they saw that my labs were starting to do that, they were like, "You got to be delivered right now. Like we can't let you keep going like this." That was when I was 30 weeks exactly. So yeah, and then I delivered Leo, but he
Did,
was,
did you get any steroid shots or mag drips or
yes,
anything? Okay.
I got 2 rounds of the steroid shots.
Oh,
So
good.
I got the first round when I went to the hospital the first time when I was
Okay.
around 25 weeks, and then I got it again when I went to St. Joe's Women's around 28 weeks. So I had two
Okay.
rounds of those steroid shots. Yes, I was on the mag drip too. It was freaking terrible. It's
The worst.
awful. Yeah, I
The
hated
worst.
it. I was like seeing double of everything the next
Mm-hmm.
day. Yeah, it was awful. I hated that. But yeah, even with those steroid shots, like his lungs were still that bad. Like nobody expected. Like when he was first born, one of the neos was like, "He's intubated. He'll probably only be intubated for like a day or so." And I think they were thinking that because of his like gestational age and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they kept being like, "This is not normal. Like he's 30 weeks. He should not." Like his lung, even for how small he is, like his lungs should not be this bad. So
What did he weigh when he was born?
he was 2 pounds 5 ounces.
I mean, which is
So
small for 30
it's
weeks.
small for 30 weeks, yeah. But the neos kept saying like it doesn't matter. His lungs still shouldn't be that bad. I don't know. That's just what they said. They're like under. They said I think they said like under stress, his lungs should have grown better. Like that's typically what should happen.
I mean,
That's what
yeah,
somebody
the
said.
only reason that would make sense is if your water broke at like 20 weeks and then you made
Right.
it, you went with no
Yeah.
water. I mean, and no
Right.
fluid for him. It doesn't
Exactly.
make
Like
sense.
him, there wasn't really like I nothing like I didn't go into labor. Like I was never contracting. Like I didn't have any fluid leaking. Like I didn't have like the incompetent cervix. Nothing like that was happening. Like I had a C-section and they took him out of me. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe he was just taken out during a very like critical time of his lung development or what, but the neos, they all kept saying that they're like, he should not, like 30 weekers are not usually this sick with their lungs. So that was like, they thought maybe like at the beginning that maybe it was maybe something genetic going on. So they did like some surfactant deficiency panel on him.
Hmm.
None of that came back as anything because the other thing is we did IVF. With IVF, they do tons of testing, like
I
on
was
the
gonna
embryos.
say, wasn't that genetically tested?
Yeah, yeah, but it doesn't come back for like everything. It
Okay.
doesn't cover like every single
Relax.
type of genetic condition that you can have. But so none of that came back. But I don't know. Like in my gut, I feel like there was something from the beginning with what I said with the IVF doctor, how she said, this is not likely that your pregnancy is going to continue. Pregnancies with these HCG levels that don't double are not usually viable. So that just makes me think that, like, in my gut, I feel something was off from the start. I don't know. I just really do. And
But did it not continue to like, so you went like 2 days later and got tested and it didn't double.
mhm.
And then when you went back on Monday, did you get tested? Like it just
Yeah, I got
wasn't
tested
doubling?
again and it still wasn't doubling. It still wasn't doubling. They did a third blood draw, yes, and it didn't double again. But because everything was looking okay on the ultrasound, she was like, I don't know, like everything's looking okay on the ultrasound. Like the heartbeat's there, the like yolk sac and whatever else they're looking for is there. Um,
Interesting.
so I know it's weird. Like it's weird. So we were like, okay, like we kept going and we were like, okay, like, we proved the doctor wrong. Like, we're doing great. But like, then all of this happened. So that's why, and I'm going to be going back to like see that doctor. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to like, I don't know if she's going to be able to say anything, like whether she thinks that contributed to anything, but I'm curious to hear like if anything like that has ever happened before, because like this wasn't a natural pregnancy. Like there's always
Mm-hmm.
more risks and stuff with like IVF, and because it's not natural. Like
Mm-hmm.
they made you pregnant. Like, you know, they're giving you
Mm-hmm.
artificial hormones to keep you pregnant, get you pregnant. Like, so I don't know. I don't know.
That's so interesting.
I
Like
know. So it's like,
I wonder if there's a study on that or something.
I know. That's why, like, I want to bring it up to them and see, like, if they know anything else about it. Because I brought it up to the neonatologist, but that's not like their field of. So
Mm-hmm.
they're like, maybe it contributed, but like, you know, we can't really say. So
And none of them had seen that before. None of the neonatologists
no,
had
I
seen
feel
that.
like no, and I feel like he was always kind of like a mystery in a way, feeling like they never had a clear answer, like of why his lungs were so bad. Like it was always so frustrating. Like there was never like I knew he had BPD, but I feel like there was more to it than that. I don't know. Like because his lungs, Leo's lungs were very like hyperinflated. Did John ever deal with that at all?
What do you mean hyperinflated? Like
Like
they
like
were.
so they looked at them on an X-ray, and they would always like count his ribs on the X-ray. And they would say like they should only be able to see like I don't know, I forget. This might not be exactly right. If any medical people listen to me, I'm sorry. So it's like 8 to 9 ribs expanded, I think is what they said he should be, but he was always like 11 or 12 on an X-ray. So his ribs were like, or I'm sorry, his lungs were like overinflated,
Interesting.
like a balloon. Like Dr. Perpage would come and explain it to me and say like, okay, if you like you take a deep breath in and you hold it and then you try to take another breath, like that's hard to do, and that's like what Leo was dealing with. So
John's were that way when he was over supported, but because of his
right,
Malaysia. So like
yeah,
he used to be like ridiculously inflated, but we had
yeah,
no option because he needed the high peep.
right, yeah. And that was the other thing, Leo didn't have any tracheomalacia.
Yeah.
So I don't
Cause that
like,
was my other question too. Like I always wondered, like, oh, I wonder if he has like Malaysia issues
no,
because then that could be what it actually is and not a
no,
lung issue.
he
And you
didn't.
were like, no. And I'm like, it's
I
a
know.
mystery.
So it was starting to the point where it was like I kind of like not hoped that he had that, but like
Mm-hmm.
thought like, okay, well then maybe like he'll get the surgery like what John had, and then like he won't be having these spells anymore or whatever. Like, because like he wasn't on very high vent settings. Like before he got the trach, he was on a higher peep, but that was I feel like because we were doing a lot of like we tried to extubate him one more time, and like that didn't go well. So then like we had to reintubate him, and he just like needed more support. But when he was on the trach, after he got his trach surgery, he was on like peep of 6 or 8, peep of 6 to 8 that whole time.
Which is like nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. So that was a frustrating thing too. So yeah, he was so he was intubated from the time he was born. We extubated him, I want to say, like when he was like 2 weeks old.
Mm-hmm.
He was on like the mask, the NIV, the non-invasive ventilation. Um,
Niv Nava
yeah,
or whatever.
NIV. He
Yeah.
was on NIV, Nava, all that.
Yeah.
I want to say he was on that for like 3 more weeks, and then was 2 or 3 more weeks. Then he was reintubated. Then he was re-extubated again, maybe like 3 more weeks after that, because he was like coming down on his settings and stuff. And was again on Nivnava. Like we tried him on bubble CPAP and stuff like that in between, but he never did good on bubble CPAP.
Go.
I think the most he lasted on bubble CPAP was like 24 hours. He always had to be on like the NIV with like the pressure and the rate and
Mm-hmm.
all that.
Mm-hmm.
So we did extubate him. He stayed extubated for like I don't know 2 3 weeks again, and then needed to be again reintubated at like the beginning of December. And that's when all the doctors were starting to be like I think trach is like probably the only option we have left at this point. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he just needs the vent. Like we can't get him off the vent. Like we tried. He had so many rounds of like the steroids, the dart. Like did John get all that and stuff? Like the steroids and all that. Yeah,
Oh yeah, like every double dart, and then he
yeah,
had like a 42-day round of
yeah,
steroids
yeah.
that
We
Yule
had
did
them
with
to
him.
like a taper down. I
Yeah,
forget what kind of
which
steroid, but
worked for a hot minute, but then once you taper
yeah.
down and you're off, it
Hmm.
just you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like how Leo was. He always did good when he was on the steroids, but then once he was off the steroids, he would like just tanked, and
Mm-hmm.
when he would only be able to do it when he was on the steroids.
Yep.
So yeah,
And
it
then
was the beginning.
they'd have the roid rage while they were
Yeah,
on it too, which was
yeah,
awful.
I know, and you just feel terrible for them because like you
Mm,
can't do anything for them. Ugh, yeah, it's just it's a lot watching them go through that. I hate him being with that giant mask. He hated that freaking mask, like
mm-hmm.
like with the big chin strap around it. Like, ugh, just
Mm-hmm.
felt so terrible. His face is all smushed, like,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah. So the beginning of December, we re-intubated him, and then we had like a big meeting. The doctors had a big meeting together, and we decided to give him one more chance of being extubated because me and my husband and my family were just like, that's a huge decision. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't want the trach. I mean, we're
Mm-mm.
going to do whatever he had to do, but we wanted to avoid it if we could. So we're like, okay, let's give him one more chance. He was kind of coming down on like his oxygen a bit and stuff. So all the doctors felt like, okay, let's give him one more chance. So we
Yeah.
extubated him one more time. I think it was like the beginning of January, end of December. And at first, I was in there when he extubated him. They let us stay in there, which I kind of wish I didn't, but because it was like, at first, it was like they thought they were going to have to put the tube right back in because he was like retracting like to his back, and just like it was just like an awful sight to see, like gasping for air. This he was like just so air hungry. But we gave him like a few minutes. We tried a few different like types of masks because they put this like giant mask on him that I had never seen before. I'm like, he's never had that before. Like, I don't think that's working. Like, can we try the different
The
masks?
big BiPAP one.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was like one
Mm-hmm.
of the pediatric ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, can we try the smaller one, the like traditional one that he had before? I think they even had tried to put just like the cannula on him at first. I was like, that's not good enough. Like, go get something else. Like, so we tried
Yeah.
a few different things, and we he stayed extubated for 2 days, 2 or 3 days, and then
He
he
tired
just
out.
he tired out. He tired out, and then we knew we are like, okay, let's do what we have to do now and get the trach scheduled. And
Yeah.
so that was like in January. He got the trach on January 15th. We went
Mm-hmm.
over to the PICU from the NICU. They were amazing at the PICU. Just as you know, the PICU is the building is not as nice. Yeah,
It's a Motel 8 from a Ritz
yeah,
Carlton.
compared to, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was like that's the only complaint I have about the PICU
Mm-hmm.
though. Everyone there was amazing. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
nurses were so on top of everything. The doctors were great. And just like you said, like I think I heard in one of your other podcasts, so you can't help but see all the other stuff
It's
going
awful.
on around you in there. Yeah, that was awful. I saw some things that I definitely wish I didn't see, like older kids intubated and stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, so
Ignorance is bliss. There's a whole different world there that you
yeah,
have no idea about, and then once
yeah,
you're there, you're like,
exactly. I'm like, because in the
it's.
NICU, it's mostly happy situations from what I saw. I mean, I did see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of sad situations too, but the majority you see families coming in and out and stuff. In the
Yeah.
PICU, it was just a whole different type of vibe over there. But they took
It's.
great care of
Yeah.
us and great care of Leo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
They
at the
know
end of the day.
they know their stuff there.
Mhm.
It's Motel
Yeah,
8
right.
amenities, but Ritz Carlton service
Yeah,
is how
yeah,
I
definitely.
say.
I mean, even the NICU nurses would say like they're better with trachs over there than us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so they might, have better things to teach you and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. So, but yeah, we went over to the PICU. He got the trach. The procedure went smooth. I know from listening to your story with John, it sounds like it was a very dramatic like surgery and everything. We didn't have any of that, thankfully. The trach, they did the trach for, he got the trach, the G tube, and a hernia repair all in
Mm-hmm.
one surgery that day. They did the trach first. The ENT doctor came in. I want to say it was fast. He came in back to the room. I want to say it was like between like 45 minutes and an hour. He's like, okay, I'm done. The trach, everything went fine. He's good. Trach's done. I was like, oh my God. The Like we were so relieved because that was the thing we were most worried about. The G2, I guess, was a little difficult because he had like a lot of air in his belly and gas and stuff.
See,
But
they were smart with yours. The trach, this is the issue I think with John. With I've met so many other parents online where their kids become unstable in the surgeries, or they have to like postpone it because they do the G tube first, which doesn't make sense to
yeah,
me because you have to fill them with gas to open it up, and so these kids' lungs are so
oh,
sensitive that that pressure, it just
yeah,
pushes on their lungs,
yeah.
and then they become unstable. And so doing the trach first makes so much more sense.
See, I've like wondered because we were at the same hospital if they like learned from things they did with John, like or other
Maybe.
babies too, other trach babies, like moving forward, like and like I'm sure they're gonna learn from things that they did with Leo, like on other babies, hopefully moving forward, like. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe that is why they did it like that because I didn't know that they did. That. I didn't know they blow their air up, their bellies up with air when they
Mm-hmm.
do the G tube. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Okay.
they have to blow it all up in order to like get in with the scopes and see and
Okay.
like put it in,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
didn't realize either. And so they
Yeah.
came out after the G tube. They're like, we're not sure if we're going to move forward yet. Like he's at
Oh my
100%
I
oxygen, and
just
we just
cannot imagine how that must have felt for you. Like,
it's yeah,
I just cannot imagine. Like,
it's
because I
scary.
was terrified. I was terrified, obviously. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
whole surgery, you're just terrified. Like, that something's going to go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on that paralytic, and it's just so.
Yeah.
But thankfully, everything went okay. He came out. He was on the paralytic. He was kind of awake, though, a little bit. Like, was John like that at all when he first came out of surgery? Like
A
obviously, I
little.
don't think he was alert or anything, but like his eyes were open. I have a video of him, like he was on the prayer, like his eyes were open. We were like rubbing his head, and they were like, "He's fine. He'll go back to sleep. Like we're gonna give him
Who
more meds."
was who was the doctor on the PICU that day when he
I
got
don't
in?
remember any of the doctor's names.
Okay,
It was like a Middle Eastern guy though.
like
I think.
Indian,
Yeah,
Doctor
yeah, yeah,
G.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay,
I think
uh,
so. Yeah, yeah, I think
yeah,
so.
Dr. Gangu, Dr. G.
Yeah, I think that's
Because
who it was.
because Caesar, Dr. Menchaca, he's very pro minute like the least amount of paralytic as possible because he
Okay,
believes that if you go off the paralytic, it like helps you heal faster. Whereas some of
okay,
the other ones are like pump them with the paralytic. Like some of them are
okay.
so different. So when John came
Yeah,
out of surgery, it was Menchaca, and so he wasn't really that paralyzed. And then that night, De
okay.
Silva came on, and he's like, no, he needs more
De
paralytic.
Silva. I remember that name. We did
Mm-hmm.
have a De Silva. He had glasses and like
Bald,
bald.
wears the
Yes,
scrubs. Yep.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. We did have him. I don't know. Everything was a blur when we were in the PICU, honestly. So I was like, okay, I want to
Those,
get through this and
yeah.
get back to the
Mm-hmm.
NICU. Like, because I think John was how old when he got his trach?
7 months,
7 months.
exactly
Okay.
7 months.
Leo was only he was like 3.5,
Oh, he
so
was
he
so
was a lot
little.
younger. Yeah, I know. And like, I don't know, like, but I just felt like we had to do it. Like
Yeah,
he,
you did everything possible. I mean, it's at a certain point your babies tells you, like they tell
yeah,
you, and you
right.
want
I
as a
know,
parent, you want to know that you did
right.
everything to avoid it because
Yeah,
nobody wants a trach for their kid.
yeah. No, I mean, yeah, we didn't, and we did everything we could. We gave him as many tries as we could, and I didn't want him to have to keep going through that. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, I'm like, and I saw like babies like John and like babies like Ashton. You know
Mm-hmm.
Ashton. I'm good friends with Ashton. Their babies, your babies are happy and they're thriving, and they're getting the support they need. But and that's what the trachs allow for. And like Ashton was such a great person, and you for me to have during this to know that like it's okay, like it's a good thing. It's going to be a good thing at the end of the day for him, and I I would never ever regret the decision of getting the trach for him because yes, he did end up passing away, but like the months that we had with him, he was happy. He
Mm-hmm.
was. I got to see him happy and thriving, and I got to take care of him and learn so much. And like, I would never take any of that back, even
Mm-hmm.
though like now I have to live my life
Mm-hmm.
without him. It's awful, but yeah, it was
It
like
it allowed
a
him to
humbling
do
experience.
to do baby things,
Yeah.
just normal baby
Mhm.
things and not have his hands swaddled and
Yeah, I hated seeing him like that. Like, because I could see like he wanted to move around and do things, and like he was starting to get his little personality, but he couldn't because they were having to like he couldn't express it because they were having to keep him medicated and like tied up with those little swaddles and. but yeah, so once he got the trach, it was all good from there. I mean, like I said, the procedure itself went pretty smooth. Really, the only bump in the road was we got back over to the NICU. They took him off the paralytic, and then they had to put him back on the paralytic because they saw that the trach was too short.
Mm,
And I guess
okay.
like it kept leaking like when he was moving, but there was like no way to know that until he was off the paralytic.
Yep.
And the doctors told me that a lot of the neos, they were like, that's very common after these
Mm-hmm.
trach procedures, like for them to have to order a new trach and get the right size, get a custom size. So they put him back on the paralytic for, I want to say 2, 3 more days. So he was on the paralytic for like close to a week and a half total.
Mm-hmm.
He got pretty swollen. Did John get
Mm-hmm.
swollen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leo, like, he got swollen and it was like his ear and his eye on one side was like really swollen.
Mm-hmm.
It like would not go away. Like the rest of him was, well, no, he was swollen for a long time. Now that I think about it, like his whole body, his belly, like, but like for a while, like his eye every day. By the end of the day, his left eye would be swollen shut, and I felt so bad for him. But
Mm-hmm.
tons of Lasix, and but then
Mm-hmm.
they were like not wanting to give him too much Lasix, and
It's a game they play with this
that.
Lasix. It's
I
on
don't
off,
know.
on off. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
and then he was on some other diuretics, like I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember, spironolactone and other
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But towards, the end of his life, he looked good. He wasn't swollen anymore
Mm-hmm.
and he was comfortable. But those first couple months, his poor little cheeks were so tight.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so after that though, he got the trach and I mean, everything was really going good. I learned pretty quickly how to do everything
Mm-hmm.
and it was, the trach changes are scary. The trach tie changes, I feel like that was, I mean, it was hard at first. It was hard because he was so swollen at first.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
They have
couldn't
no
even see.
neck.
Yeah, he had no neck at all. But then it got easier. My husband learned to do that, of course. My mom learned to do it too, which was great because
Mm-hmm.
she was going to help take care of Leo when he came home as well. So, but yeah, so
Yeah, it's
the next
intimidating at first. All that stuff
it
is
is.
it's so intimidating, and then
Oh
within
yeah.
like a matter of weeks, it's just like second nature.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I was surprised. Like, I was definitely so intimidated at first. I was very nervous, and they're all watching you, at first to make sure you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, of course, to make sure you're doing everything right. But they did a great job teaching us,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved. I mean, the NICU was everybody in the NICU was great. I mean, who were your
Mm-hmm.
primary nurses? We don't have to put this in.
Oh, I don't. We had Lauren as his day primary, and then Olia was kind of like his
Yeah,
unofficial primary.
yeah, I
And then
love, love Olia so much.
she is a very special human being. She's
She
meant to
really
be a
is.
NICU nurse. She's
She
someone who
really is.
she's she's incredible. She was John's
Mhm.
first nurse,
Yeah, she told me.
and yeah, she was the one who, when he was, they said he had hours to days left. She was the
Yeah,
one who was like, you're gonna hold him. And she
yeah,
and Caroline, I don't know if you've
yeah.
ever met Caroline. She's an RT. I don't know if she's still there. She's
I don't
younger,
know. I don't
dark
know.
hair. They
But
did girl math. Like when you like measure with your hands, like the girl math
yeah.
measuring, and they crawled on the floor,
Oh
and
my
like the two of
gosh.
them made it happen. No one was willing to do it but them two.
Oh,
She's
that must
incredible.
be nice. I know. I love Olia so much. They
Yeah.
had did they had it where we could have three primaries? Did they not have that when you were there?
Mm-mm. No, I
Yeah,
begged
I
for
think they
that.
said it. Yeah, they said it was new,
Mm-hmm.
but so we had Olia during the day. We had Nicolette and we had
Mm-hmm.
Victoria. Victoria was like a newer nurse, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
and at night we just had one. We had Tiffany, just because I didn't know. I didn't know a lot of the night nurses. We were gonna have another one, but she was leaving. Her name was Brooke. I
Yes.
think, yeah, she had like all the traits.
She's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
She knows trachs like
Mhm.
she
Mhm.
came from a lot of like the really big trach hospitals.
Yeah, that's what she
Uh-huh.
said. So when I met her, I was like, "Oh my god, I need another primary, please, please be our primary." But then she was moving or something.
Yeah, she
So
just took a new role being like a transplant coordinator.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's
But
great.
we had so many amazing nurses, though.
We had
So many.
Bobby at night. I don't know if you've ever met
Yeah,
her.
she had Leo once. We tried to get her on because I think I saw that you mentioned her on one of your videos or something, and I was like, okay, she would be good. But I think I don't know. I think she was had something going on and couldn't take on another primary or something. But
She's a special human being. She's
yeah,
incredible. Yeah.
oh yeah, she seems sweet.
It's an amazing NICU.
Yeah, yeah,
There.
it is. Mm-hmm.
I like
It
that they do the 3 primaries now because I would
is. Yeah.
complain all the time because Lauren would be on, but they'd like have to move her somewhere else or whatever. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this is why you need other primaries
Right. No,
because,
it was so nice. Yeah, exactly. Because they only work 3 days a week too.
hmm
So like there were some weeks where Leo would have one of his primary nurses every single day because their schedules would just work out
hmm
like that.
and you
And
feel
it
like
was just great.
they do better whenever they have someone who
They
knows them really
definitely,
well.
yeah, for
Hmm
sure, for sure. And obviously that just makes us feel better, like
hmm
knowing they're in good hands with somebody who knows them. And
hmm
yeah, it was crazy. The day that Leo passed away, all three of his primary nurses were there. They just happened to
Were
all
they all of them?
they were all scheduled that day. They were all there that day. It was weird. I don't know. Yeah.
What are the
So
chances of that?
I know they were all there that day. Like I walked in and they were all in there. So
Wow.
I know. Yeah. I
I
know.
mean, it's kind of
It's
a
weird.
blessing, but it's also like sad,
It
traumatizing
is.
that they all had to be there for
No,
that.
I
But
know, but I mean, I'm glad. I'm so glad that they were there because I was not there. That it happened. So what happened was just like a normal morning. I woke up. Did they have the angel eye when you were there? The little camera that you could look at them. Okay.
hmm
So I looked at his angel eye, like 9 a.m. He's sleeping, and then I looked at it again at like 9:30, and I saw that there was like 10 people in his room, and
oh,
yeah. Nicolette was there that day, his primary, thank God. And I called up right away. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Because I think what happens, they probably just moved the camera out of the way real quick and like probably forgot to turn it off because like I didn't see what was going on with him, but I could just see that there was like 10 people in the room. And I knew that it wasn't good because
which is never good.
it's never
No.
good. And that's never happened before. Like before this, Leo has never coded. Like I know you've said like John had those, like he had codes like
hmm
a lot, right? Yeah.
7.
Wow. Ugh.
hmm
Leo never had that ever. Like he had like Brady's here and there, but he never, and he had BPD spells like
hmm
where he had to be bagged and stuff. But he never ever got to the point where he was coded and had to have CPR. So so that day I called them and they didn't answer. So I was like, oh my God. I called. I'm like, please connect me to the nurse next door. And they connected me to the nurse next door. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? They put one of the doctors on and they told me that he had one of his BPD spells and they just could not get his heart rate back up. Like, so, so they were doing CPR. I live about 45 minutes away from the hospital, 45 minutes away. I jumped in the car. My mom, my husband, we all rushed up there. I was on the phone with one of the doctors the whole entire time, and she was just like,
Which doctor was it?
Dr. Davis.
hmm
Yeah.
hmm
Um, she was very kind. She
hmm
stayed on the phone with me the whole time.
Was
And
there
just,
another doctor obviously in the room
yeah,
with
there
yeah.
was Dr. Davis, Dr. Shaw, and Dr. Clark were there that day.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, she stayed on the phone with me the whole time and just told me like, I was just like, obviously distraught and like panicked and like what the heck, like just what's going on, is he okay, is he okay? And she's like, we're doing CPR. Like that's all she kept saying is we're doing CPR. They were like trying to give him an IV to give him like meds to get his heart to start back up and stuff, and he was just kind of walking me through what they were doing and stuff. But by the time we were like going over the Howard Franklin Bridge and like getting close to being there, and it was like 30 minutes and they were still doing CPR, I knew at that point that I think they were just like, they were waiting for me to get there, you know, like,
hmm
so, and, and we got there and one of the like nurse coordinators up there waited downstairs for us and rushed us up, and all those people were in his room, and like he was gone when we got up there already. So
They called it before you got up there.
no, I think like right when we got in there, they stopped CPR. I mean, I don't even remember seeing them doing CPR. I just saw everybody in there and like
hmm
saw their faces and knew like
Mm-hmm.
and they just kind of like handed him to me. Yeah,
Mm.
I know. Yeah,
Sucks.
no, I know.
That
And it just
it's
like happened so fast. Like we thought he was doing okay. Like
yeah.
we really did. We thought he was doing okay. I mean,
He was. I mean, he was stable.
he
But
was.
these kids, man, they're not. They are stable until they're not. You know.
I know, and
And
it's just like so quickly it can happen.
mm-hmm.
Like, and I guess what they think happened was like just the overexpansion of his lungs. Maybe he was starting to push onto his heart. Like, we don't know really the exact cause. Like, we could have done like an autopsy, but I didn't want to do that. Like, I know that it was related to his BPD, and it was his BPD spell that, you know, just kind of, I mean, you've seen these BPD spells, they're scary. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they turn blue and to bag them, and it's
It's
just,
fast. It's very
it's,
fast.
and it happens, it does. It happens so fast too that like they're fine 1 second
Mm-hmm.
and then they're not. And it's just like, and that's why like, I mean, I wanted to bring him home, but I was okay with him being there as long as he needed to be because I wanted him obviously to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say I'm glad, like, I want to say I'm glad that it happened there and not at home, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because then I would have maybe been blaming myself. Like, did I not do things the right way? Like, I know he was in the hands of all those professionals, like people from the PICU were in there too, like
Mm-hmm.
making sure that they were doing things right. Like they were all there. Like they had people from like the cardiac ICU on call. Like I know that everything, all of his primaries were there.
He
Like
had
that
the.
gives me so much peace of mind that he was with his primaries because you know, like
They're
when
some
they're
of the
not with
best
their
nurses.
yeah,
Yeah.
they know them. Like so, you know, I know that everything was done properly in
Mm-hmm.
those moments, and I know that he like that was his family. Like so, he was with his family in his last moments. Like
Mm-hmm.
because they are those nurses are these babies' families.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like they were more his family than some other family members or friends and stuff. You know, because they spend
Mm-hmm.
so much time with them
Mm-hmm.
and they're angels. Like NICU, PICU nurses are angels. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have so much respect for them after going through this. Like I've always had respect for nurses, but like just seeing firsthand being in there, I was there every single day with him too. I didn't sleep there, but I was there every single day with Leo the whole 7 months. There was like maybe 2 days I missed because my husband had the flu, but
Mm-hmm.
I was there every day with him because I didn't want to be anywhere else. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean,
He's your kid. You want to be with him.
broke. I'm broke. Like, but I didn't care. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm like, this is where I have to be right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he needs me. Like, and you know, they try to say, oh, we have him here, whatever. But no, I'm his mom. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we want to be the ones there with them. Like, and I wanted to learn everything I could, like, about the freaking vent. Like, those vents are so confusing. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the more questions I asked too, the more confused I just
Yeah. The
got.
less it made sense.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's not true. There were some Archies like Mark. Did you have Mark?
Yeah. Mark
Oh
with
my
the
God.
ponytail.
Yes. I
Mm-hmm.
love Mark so
Mm-hmm.
much. He would
Yeah.
be the one that I'd be like, can he come in and explain stuff to me? Because he would be the only one that would like kind of make sense the way that he would explain the vent stuff. Because Leo never got off of the hospital vent. He never even got onto like the home vents
Okay.
because
So you hadn't started
he was,
trialing.
yeah, he never even got to start. They told us, I don't know, in March, they took, because I started to be like, okay, like, what's happening? Like, we just kind of have hit like a standstill. Like, he's not really making progress. Like, there's no talk of going home. Like, he got the trach in January, and it was like towards the end of March, there was still like no progress towards going onto the home vent.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason was because, I guess, because of his overexpansion of his lungs, he wasn't like triggering the ventilator. Like, so he wasn't, like, the vent wasn't picking up his own breaths, I guess, because they were like too little or something. Like, he wasn't releasing enough of like air, an output of air into the vent to trigger it. So it was that, and then his peak pressures were still like really, really high, like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in the 70s.
Oh
So they were
wow.
like,
Okay.
yeah, I know. So they were like, he can't go onto a home vent, so meaning peak pressure is that high, it can't deliver that high of a peak pressure
Yeah.
consistently for him, So
And it's not as
he's like,
sensitive, so it wouldn't be able to pick up those little breaths. Like it,
okay,
yeah.
yeah. See, I never even got to. Does he have the trilogy? Is that
Mhm.
what? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think Trey Ashton's son has that too, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, we never even got to get on any of the home vents. Like when he first got the trach, it seemed like things were gonna maybe like move quicker. Like it seemed like he was doing good because his settings were so low. Like his
Mhm.
peak was low. So I was like, oh, like he's gonna be probably coming home in a couple months. But then like yeah, it kind of just hit a standstill and he stopped making progress. Like his PEEP was never super high. His oxygen was always like 30 to 40.
It's not bad.
But no, it wasn't bad. But he just, I don't know. He just, I don't know if there was more going on to it than what we really knew. Maybe there was something else underlying genetic that we just didn't know. I don't know. Or it might have just been he had really bad BPD and this spell for whatever reason, like was
But
just one.
all his heart stuff, like caths and everything, or not caths, echoes and everything, were
Yeah,
fine.
I forgot to say that earlier. Yeah, he never had pulmonary hypertension on any of them. Did John have that?
No,
No.
we got really lucky with that. There was many
Yeah.
times we thought
Yeah.
possibly, but for just how
Right.
sick he was, it was shocking. Whenever we would
Hmm.
tell them he didn't have it, they're like,
Yeah. That's what they kept saying too. Like, and they kind of, I feel like at one point one of the doctors was like, it's probably a matter of time before he ends up getting it, but he never got it. Like, they did echoes all the time,
yeah, all the time.
and he never had it. I think they did more echoes on him than even like they would typically because they really wanted to stay on top of it. But so that's why it was just so weird that happened out of nowhere.
Hmm.
Like with and like I said, like he's never coded, nothing. Like and then this BPD spell for whatever reason, just
Hmm.
he could not recover from.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I wonder if what you said about just his lungs being so overexpanded just on his heart, maybe. I mean, you'll never know. I
yeah,
mean, that's
I know,
the hard part is you'll drive yourself
I
crazy.
know. It's just awful to like. I never imagined going through this. Like you never imagine going through this when you imagine getting pregnant and having a baby. Like
No.
like especially, I never imagined this. Like having my baby premature, had a trach, which I knew nothing about trachs before. I knew a little bit about it because I'm friends with Ashton,
Hmm.
but I didn't know anything, about caring for them and like ventilators and all that before all this. And then like there were many times where I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I can't believe this is my life. Like, and I feel like that now too. Like I can't believe that I've gone through something like this. But at the same time too, like I don't know. I feel very strong for going through all this, like, and I just feel like nothing can like take me down now, because like I've been through the worst possible thing that
Yeah.
you can go through, and I do feel Leo with me. I feel him giving me strength. I for sure do. Like I don't know how I would be getting through this without that, because that has to be what this is, because I don't know how I'd be like even like getting out of the house every day if it wasn't for just the strength that he's giving me. I truly know that that's him. Like it
Hmm.
has to be.
He is.
So
He's with you. I mean, if you want, can you share? You don't have to, but
no.
the story about the Pope that you sent me
Oh yeah, yeah.
is one of the
Hmm.
most. Yeah, share
I
that,
know.
please.
Yeah, of course. So it was like maybe 2 3 days after Leo passed. Me and my mom were watching the news. We were about to go on a walk somewhere, but my mom was like, "I want to watch the news first because she's Catholic and she wanted to see the new Pope being announced because she loves the Pope and everything." So I was like, "I'll sit and watch it with you. I've got nothing else to do." And when they were announcing it live, they were like, okay, the Pope has chosen his new name. He's chosen Pope Leo. And he walks out, and we just both got this like overwhelming feeling, like looked at each other and started bawling. Because I was
Hmm.
like when something like this happens, like you hope for a sign
Yeah.
from your loved one. Like that's what everybody hopes for, is a sign that your loved one is okay. And I felt like that was like the largest, most like clearest sign that he could
Hmm.
have sent
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, what are the
because
chances that that Pope's name was going to
I
be called
know, and that
Leo?
this happened, yeah, and that it
Yeah.
happened like around this time. I don't know, and I wasn't the only one that thought that. Like I had people, like one of the doctors replied and said like one of his neonatologists said like, oh, all the doctors were talking about it and were so touched when we heard the new Pope's name. Like, just other people I knew messaged me about it. So like, it wasn't just me that felt it. Like, I know it wasn't a coincidence. It's too weird not to be a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just feel like he had such a presence about him. Like, he was so loved in the NICU. Like, one of the Dr. Yule, you know, Dr. Yule? Yeah,
One
like
of my
Dr. Yule.
favorites.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He declared Leo the mayor of the NICU. He was, because he'd been in there for 7 months. Like, he's our mayor. He's our little mayor of the NICU. And he was just so loved in there, like so loved. So I just feel like his presence was so strong that like it's no wonder that like his spirit sent us a sign like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
seriously.
Yeah.
So
He was very loved. I've talked to a couple of the NICU nurses there,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, it hit them very hard.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he was very, very, very loved, and
Yeah, very
I,
loved. They became his family, my friends. Like
well,
I miss
you
them.
all were very loved too. You know, like you
Yeah,
guys. You
yeah,
know, not every family is are not all these families are as involved as you were and as we
yeah.
are, which is shocking
Hmm.
to me.
Right, me too. I'm like, how
How
could
can
you
you
not be? But
not?
I know some other people have, like, there was a baby next door. She had 5 kids at home. So I knew she couldn't be there every day with the baby. But I was like, I want to go in and hold the baby. Like, the baby's
Yeah,
crying. Like, I'll go in and hold her. Like,
yeah,
but I know, I'm like, how can you not be? This is your baby. Like, they need you.
I
Like,
know.
they
But
need us.
there's many
But
people who don't have kids at home and they still
yes,
aren't
true, true,
involved, which
true.
is wild.
Yes,
But I
yes.
mean, these
I
people
know.
become your social life and your
Yeah,
family,
they did.
and your they help you raise your kid. I mean,
They really do.
they are your become your therapist, your
Yeah.
best friend. I mean,
Exactly. Oh yeah, I was crying in their arms. I mean, I wouldn't have known how to take care of Leo if it wasn't for them. You know, they taught me how to do his trach changes, his G tube, you know, his G tube feedings, all of that stuff. Like, and I got to the point where like I looked forward to going in and seeing them and hanging out with them. And I'm like, oh yay, like his primaries are there. I get to hang out with them today, and you know, like we're gonna hang out and give him a bath today, and just like, and I miss them too. Like I'm also like grieving the
as
loss of like my life at the hospital with all those people. I don't know, it's
I was gonna
weird.
say, has
Like,
that been a surprisingly weird, hard thing as well? I mean, the journey that you're going through is so difficult, but
yeah,
also like a weird thing is going home and you've lost your son, and so
hmm,
you have that, but then you also now are not going to the hospital every day and seeing those
hmm,
people, and it's
yeah,
just like a total just like 180
uh huh,
from what you were doing every day,
right, yeah, yeah. It is surprising because I'm like, you wouldn't think that you would miss going to the hospital,
right?
but I do. Like, I get to the point where like I made his room like our little home. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
made it our little nursery. I had all of his stuff in there. Like, I knew everybody in that NICU. Like,
Yep.
I'd walk down the hall, and be like, "Hey, hey, how you doing today?" Like, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody knew us. We had been in there every day for 7 months, and I miss that. I miss my life of like I knew like the freaking security guards
Mm-hmm.
downstairs and the cafeteria workers, and like they became invested in Leo's life too, because they'd be like, how's he doing? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'd show them pictures. Like, they were sad too when I told them, like, when I was leaving that last day, there was this one security guard, and I every day she just worked on the weekends, and she would always be like, how's Leo? I'm praying for him. And she was crying when I told her that he passed away, and like she had never even seen him before. So it's just like so many people. I'm thankful for all those people
Mm-hmm.
that got to be in his life, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Like,
Yeah. It's a village. I mean, then
it
like you said,
is.
some of them don't even get to meet your kids, but they just that when you walk in and see them and they know you and they ask you and they're just
Right.
kind, it's just like
Hmm.
it's your daily routine and they're part of your village, and
Yeah,
that hospital
definitely.
is incredible. And
Yeah, I loved that hospital. I mean, when I was a patient there too, they took great care of me, took great care of Leo, like just amazing people. And across the street too, they're
mhm,
amazing. So,
yeah.
yeah, and just so much support from like the social workers there to the nurses to the doctors to everybody. Like I've always felt so supported by everybody there. I really did. So like that made it a little bit of like an easier experience going there. Like because I had so many great people in my
Mm-hmm.
corner and in Leo's corner. That like even on those dark days, like I had the light of the people there with me, you know. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that made it a little bit easier. And I know that they're, you know, I still keep in touch with them, and I know that they're, you know, missing Leo and missing us. And but yeah, it was. I truly feel like it was an honor to get to do what I did, even though it ended this way. Like, and what you do is amazing too. Like we always looked to you as kind of like our inspiration, honestly. Like I was like, I want Leo to. I'm sorry, because I see how John is thriving now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so happy for him. But it's like hard. It's hard to see because I wanted Leo to be like that, you know, like.
Mm-hmm.
And but I want you to know that like we looked to you while we were in the NICU as like, that's what we need. That's what we're going to do. Like, that's what we want to be like. She's on top of everything. She's got him at home and all of his therapies. He's thriving. He's happy. He's like, so I want you to know that like what you're doing is really important. Like, and don't stop because like it helps people like me and, you know, all of us medical moms and trach moms, whoever that might be in like this situation. Because like you're showing that like you can do it, and these kids can be happy and live happy lives, and
Mm-hmm.
like, and seriously, screw anybody that says anything differently. Like I see those freaking trolls that you post about sometimes. Like
They're just
fuck,
losers. Yeah.
fuck those people.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Fuck them.
no, no,
Yeah.
because these babies live happy lives.
Mm-hmm.
They know no different.
Mm-mm.
All they know is that they're happy and loved and taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing that we have these advances in the medical field to allow these 23-week babies like John to live and thrive. And now he's a thriving 2-year old
Mm-hmm.
who's coming off of the vent and is doing great. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, years ago, that would have been unheard of
Mm-mm.
for babies that young to make it. Like I became friends with another family in the NICU. Their baby was 22 weeks.
Oh my god.
He's doing great. I mean, he's still in the NICU, and he has, you know, he has some. I don't want to say issues. You know what I mean? He
But he's
has
alive.
obstacles. He's alive, and he's growing, and he's adorable. And years ago, that wouldn't have been. So,
Mm-mm.
like, yeah, these babies are warriors. They're amazing. Like Leo, John, like they're the strongest people
They're all
ever.
miracles.
Yeah. And Leo will forever be like my biggest inspiration. So much strength. Like they keep going. Like they could easily with those their tiny little fragile bodies just give up. But they keep going. Like they keep fighting, and like it's just like it's amazing to witness. It really is. And even like I know my story is sad, and I'm sure like I know when you're looking online for like at least when I was like when you're looking at trach families, trach stories, you don't want to hear these sad stories, probably like mine, but my like Leo's story is important. Like
His story
it,
deserves to be shared just as
no, it
much as
does.
everybody else's.
Yes, it does. And I know it is. It's terribly sad. It's the worst outcome you could imagine with
Mm-hmm.
having your baby in the NICU and getting your baby a trach and doing all these things. But I don't regret one thing that I did for him because I know that I did everything from my heart, but also I listened to the medical professionals, but made sure to like ask informed questions and become educated and like do my research and you know, and I just learned so much too that I and became like every time I would talk to the doctors, my mom was always like, "Oh my gosh, you're so like how are you talking to them like that so eloquently and stuff?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I don't know. I just felt like I became this different version of myself because I had to just be there for Leo and nothing else mattered. So just, I don't know. I just felt like I channeled this different version of myself and this strength that I just like didn't even know that I had and didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep using that strength to keep going. And because I know that's what Leo would want me to keep doing. And I have my moments in my days, like
Mm-hmm.
earlier today, I felt terrible. I'm like, I don't even know like what to believe in. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
even know what to think or to feel like
Mm-hmm.
moving forward. I don't know how to stay positive and feel hopeful about like the future of like maybe hopefully being a. I'm still a mom, but
Yours. Yep.
having a mom here with me on Earth with me in my arms.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's going to be my whole life is going to be this journey of dealing with the grief of losing Leo. But I'm going to make sure to keep his spirit alive and his memory alive, and that's why I wanted to do this today. Like it's something that I've been thinking about, like messaging you and being like, I want to go on her podcast, but I was like nervous about it. But I'm like, no, like I want to talk. I want people to hear about him and know about his strength and what a warrior he was and how loved he was, and he deserves that. So
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
you did everything and more. And,
yeah,
he was so loved. And I think, these kids do so well and thrive and make it through some hard stuff because they have such strong parents and
yeah,
involved parents in
yeah,
their corner. And,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, his story, like you said, it's sad, but it deserves to be told and
it
heard
does.
and
Yeah,
shared just as much as
mm-hmm.
John's story or anybody
Yeah,
else's story.
yeah,
And I think
definitely.
that you being brave enough and coming on here and sharing his story, there's a lot of moms out there that have lost children and have
Yeah,
been through what you've been through,
mm-hmm.
similar stories. And I
Yeah,
think they feel, I can't speak because I don't know, but I
mm-hmm.
think
Yeah,
they feel isolated, or just
yeah,
like nobody
mm-hmm.
understands what they're going through because
Absolutely.
who wants to go online and talk about this? I mean, it's,
Exactly. Yeah. You mostly see people, posting their happy moments with their babies and stuff, not about their baby that passed away. So, but yeah, I want other people to know they're not alone too. You're not. Okay. I'm experiencing this. Tons of other people are. If anybody ever wants to reach out to me, please do. Like, I know what this feels like firsthand. So, I can try to help as much as I could if anybody ever needs somebody to talk to and is experiencing, loss of a child, baby, miscarriage, whatever. Like it's
have you
all,
found any moms online, like since he's passed away that
yeah,
you've have talked to or?
I have, yeah. I've had some that have reached out to me. After he passed away, I got a lot of new followers. I think because like you posted something and another trach mom, or I don't know if it was a trach mom, another medical mom posted me, and then yeah, I got a lot of moms that reached out to me and are like, I lost my baby too, or you know, have been through similar situations. So it's been nice to connect with those other moms and like know that we're not alone. And that's a good thing about social media and everything is all of us that are, in this little village together makes us, and I just see like there's a few moms I think that we're like mutual friends with it. Like I think one lives in like California or like somewhere else. And I'm like, we wouldn't know each other and like feel so connected and not alone if it was. That's a good thing about social media. It's like it's bringing us together and seeing that we're not alone in these experiences. And so that's why I think it's so great what you do and sharing. And I don't know if you remember, like when I was talking to Dr. Purpage, when I was like first finding out that when he was first telling me that he thought Leo was going to need the trach, he was like, "You should follow this mom on Instagram." And he like sent me your information, or he showed me your Instagram, where he's like, "She just posts so much good stuff to like show what it's really like to have a baby with a trach, and just so much good information." And so like that's why it's such a good thing, because it's daunting, to take all this on. So the more stuff there is out there for like trach parents to have, to not feel alone and to just like get education is better. So
Yeah.
just know that like the doctors really respect you and what you do and like how you've taken all this on too. Like,
It
because
means a
you're
lot.
like an amazing trach mom.
I mean, it's hard, but I mean, it's like you say, you do what you got to do for your kid.
Yeah,
Like
you
your
just
mom
do it.
said, you all of a sudden learned this new language that you were talking to the doctors, and it's like,
Right.
can you imagine
Yeah.
8 months ago that person knowing all
No.
that.
Yeah. I
No.
know. I didn't know what a Brady was or what tachycardic meant or like whatever, like all these new things that I'm learning about and peak pressures and
I know.
PEEP
I'm like,
and
Tom Brady, when he was born, I'm like,
I
Tom
know. I'm
Brady?
like,
Is
what
that,
the heck?
yeah,
Yeah.
no idea.
I
I mean, you
know.
adapt and you figure it out. And,
Mhm.
unfortunately, the hospital is great at teaching you basic things, right? And teaching you
Mhm.
stuff like that. But the reality is they've never lived it at home with a,
Right.
a child. They've never
Exactly.
done it at home
Mhm.
without any resources. And
Yeah.
so
Right.
there is no handbook, there is no
Yep.
guide. And so
Mhm.
I've learned majority of the things from moms online and different
Yeah.
groups, but I am starting to see more and more moms share stuff from the medical community. And
Yeah.
even like the grief, like the parents who've lost kids are sharing more and
Mhm.
more.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see more people be vulnerable and share stuff, but it's
Yeah.
hard. I know.
It
I
is
mean,
hard. I know. Yeah. I know
but
because it is hard and it's scary because you don't know how people are gonna like. There's very very many people that are just ignorant to the situation out there, so they don't know. They're not coming from. And there's also just people that are dicks out there too, that just want to say mean things. But
they
yeah,
don't.
I know. I don't know.
They live sad lives, and they'll never. I always have to say, like, they'll never know love like we do. Like
Exactly.
this, the type of love you feel for these kids, and the things you'll do for these kids when
Hmm.
they're going through hell, and you can't switch spots with them, and you would do anything to switch spots with
Hmm.
them, and they'll never know that. It's a type of love. Like,
Hmm.
even, it sounds so weird to say, but like parents of that had a healthy pregnancy and healthy kid, and
Hmm.
they love their kids and they know what love feels like, but
Yeah.
they'll never know what the love is that we have for our
Yeah.
kids.
I know.
I
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
Right. Because I mean, you've seen John have like coding and like close to those near death situations. So it just makes you. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm bringing up like triggering situations, but it just puts you into a different like mindset of like, oh my gosh, like I could lose this being at any moment. So I just feel like it makes you like cherish every little thing about them, and like not that you wouldn't with any baby, but it's just like you say, it's just a different.
Your
It's a
perspective is
yeah, yeah, your perspective,
so different. You
right?
are grateful for everything.
Yeah,
Every diaper
exactly,
change,
right. Hmm.
everything
Yeah,
you
right.
wouldn't, yeah, you just are grateful for
Hmm.
everything that
Yeah.
most parents will complain about. You're
Hmm.
like, what I would do for that.
Right. Right. I know. Like even something like I don't know if a lot of people realize when babies have a trach, you don't hear them.
Hmm.
So like I didn't get to hear Leo cry
Hmm.
really. I mean I did when he was extubated like very early on in his life, but then once he was intubated and got the trach is cuffed, so there's like, water that blocks any air from passing, so you don't hear them cry. He just cries with no noise coming out. And like that's something I got over it, but that was something I had to like mourn the loss of, like that I don't hear my baby cry.
Hmm.
And that's something like, a regular parent might be annoyed of hearing their baby cry. I wish that I could have heard my baby cry, like
I've
it's
had
just little things like that like you take for granted.
I've had
So
ignorant people that I know in my life. They don't mean it, but they're like, "Oh, isn't that
yeah,
nice? You don't hear them cry." And I'm just like, "Are you fucking kidding
I
me?"
know.
Like,
God.
do you know how like hard it is to watch your child suffer in pain and cry and it be quiet?
Yeah.
It's fucking
Yeah,
awful.
it's awful to watch. It really is. It's so sad to watch when they're crying and nothing's coming out. Like I just hate it.
Yeah.
That's oh my
But
god. I can't believe
people don't
it.
know. People have,
No, I know. I
I've
know.
it's hard at the moment. You're like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I know.
But then you're just like, you take a step back and you're like, you know what?
Exactly.
They have no idea. And I hope that
Right.
they never do. I hope they
Exactly.
never have to learn.
Exactly. Because I think about it and I'm like, I knew nothing about this before any of this. So, you know, that's just how other people are too. They're ignorant to the situation. They don't know, so they don't know any better.
Mm-mm.
But that's yeah. People just, and I think a lot of times people just don't know what to say, and they, like they don't want to say the wrong thing. So I don't know. Because
It's hard. You don't know. I mean, for me, I mean, I'll be very like forward with you. Like I was very nervous for this today. I mean, excited but nervous because I have been through a lot of the similar things that you have, but I
hmm
also haven't. And so
yeah,
it's like I I don't want to say the wrong thing either because
right.
it's hard, but
Yeah, no, I know.
I want to be honest and open, and
Yeah.
I want you to share your story, but
hmm
it's difficult, like
Yeah.
I
Well, no,
can't.
you've done great. You haven't done anything to make me feel like I'm a very chill person, very open book. Like I'm not somebody. I want to share the real experience of what I went through because it's real. People go through this. People go through worse. I mean, I'm glad that I got to have 7 months with my son and got to see him happy and thriving. Like I'm glad that like he could have just passed away right when I had him, like, and I couldn't have gotten to get to know him and take care of him and love him and see his personality and like, so I'm grateful in that aspect too. Like, it's such a weird balance of like, I feel grateful that I had him and loved him and got to become a mom, but now like he's not here and I feel sad too, but it's just, I don't know. I think I'm also like, this only happened not even 2 months ago. So I think I'm also still in like a bit of a state of shock
Yeah.
as well, like processing everything. But I have to keep going. And I feel like this past 7 months, my whole identity has been like medical mom. So I want to like, that's why I wanted to come on here and
Hmm.
connect with other medical moms. And
If
yeah.
there's like one piece of advice you could give to, okay, this is a two-part question. First
hmm
question, if there's one piece of advice you could give to people who have friends who have lost a child, um what is something that they can do, like what are the things that they could say that are that are actually helpful, and or do for like what are something that has been helpful for you, for people in your community or friends and
I'd
family?
say like, don't be afraid to talk about
Okay.
baby. Like we want to keep like I want to keep talking about Leo. I don't want to act like he didn't exist and
Hmm.
like I it's painful, but I know I like I'm always thinking about it, like, so please, like I want to talk about him and I'm sure other lost moms want to keep talking about their child that they lost because we only have so much of them to hold on to.
Hmm.
Like I have only 7 months of memories that I got to make with him. I want to share those. I want to talk about them. I don't want to act like he didn't exist.
Hmm.
Like I feel like some people might, I mean, death is an uncomfortable thing to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about death, especially the death of a child, a
Hmm.
baby. So, but I just encourage people like to talk about those uncomfortable things with your friends or your families if you know somebody that has gone through this because it makes us feel seen and heard and like you're really really trying to understand or at least like empathize with what we're going through and it just feels good to know that like you're thinking about our child or
Hmm.
you're thinking about Leo, you're still wanting to keep his memory alive or you saw something that made you think of him or so I just encourage people to have those uncomfortable conversations, like even if you think that, I don't know, just even if you're unsure of what to say, like be there for that person too. Like that's another thing. Like just being there is so important. Like even if you don't, like I said, even if you don't know what to say, just being there, dropping off something. I work at a dance studio, and they set up like a meal train for us for like a whole entire month. Some of those people, like I didn't talk to them when they came by; they just dropped off the meal, went by. But that small act just makes you feel so appreciated and like people are thinking about you. So I just really, I know I'm kind of rambling, but just like
No, you're
your
not rambling.
presence, your presence is the most important thing I would say is just showing up for these people because this is an isolating situation. Like not a lot of people, I mean, a lot of people go through stuff like this, but you don't hear about it all the time. So
Hmm.
that's why you have to like check in on your people for sure. Like,
Hmm.
so yeah.
what is What was your favorite memory with him? Or if you have a couple, you could share a couple because I know it's hard to pinpoint.
Yeah. I really loved at my birthday was like a couple weeks before he passed away, and I went to the hospital that day. It was just me and him that day, and I just had a great day with him. Like that will always be just like a great memory. It's just I stayed there all day with him. Just we didn't do much. The nurses decorated my room for me and got
I
me a
remember
cake.
that.
And yeah, and I just remember feeling like I don't need to do anything else. I don't want to do anything else. I've wanted to be a mom forever. I'm a mom. I have my baby. I remember that night not wanting to leave. I stayed there late till like 10:30. Usually I leave at like I don't know 7 or 8 o'clock around like shift change. But that night I just remember feeling like, and I don't know if it was somehow my body knew like that this was like the only birthday I was gonna have with him or something. But I just remember feeling like I just want to stay here and hang out with him and like, and it was just such an amazing day. It was like the best birthday I've ever had, even though it was at the hospital.
Yeah.
But and when we took him outside, we took him outside. We got to take him out 3 times, which was really nice. Because did you have Jamie for PT?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
um, we had
She's
found
amazing.
out. Yeah, she is amazing. I went to her and I was like very upset and crying because they had told me I think it was in March. They said like it was probably about 6 more months. They thought he was still going to be in the hospital. So I was like, he's not going to go outside until he's like a year old. I was crying. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, I want him to go outside. Like, and she went to the doctors and like made it happen for them to like set it up for us all to take him outside. We got, they just wheeled the vent out there with him. A couple RTs went down. One of the doctors went down with us that day. And my mom and my aunt and my husband were there, and we got to take him outside, and it was nice. We just sat out there with him and hung out, um, and then I got to take him out 2 other times. So those times were really nice too, and I'm really grateful that they made that happen for us because it wasn't like a simple task. They really had to like coordinate a lot of things, and they were trying to work it into having us do it every week too, which was like really amazing that they were doing that for us. So I just have nothing but great things to say too about everybody really in the NICU because they didn't like they didn't have to do that. Like they
Mm-mm.
didn't have to let us do that every single week, but they saw how important it was to me and for him, and like so they made it happen. And like they just have such big hearts and are so compassionate, and like I think that's so important for medical people to lead with their hearts like that. So
Mhm. Jamie is she's the reason. Did you ever get a floor mat and get to play with him like on the floor?
yeah.
She was the
Mhm.
reason that
I have this floor mat. Oh no, it's not in here. I have a floor mat here at home now. Yeah, she got us a floor mat. Mm.
she was they didn't allow that before her. When she came
Really?
on, she was like, "So where are your floor mats?" And they're like, what do you mean?" So she started that and she told us which one to buy and all the things and
No. Yeah, she got. I don't know. She brought one in for us. I don't know if it was there or she. Yeah, she brought one in for us.
she's
She taught me how
amazing.
to get him down. I was so grateful that I got to do that because I got
Mhm.
to like lay him on the floor and lay next to him and actually feel like I was doing
N-
mom things because
normal.
for the longest because for the longest time I would have to ask their permission to hold him, and it would take like 3 4 people to get him out, back in the days when he was on like the jet ventilator and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just those moments too, that's another thing that like I'll miss is just the little moments of me actually being able to like take care of him
Mhm.
because for the first few months of his life I couldn't. The only things I could do was like change his diapers while they were there during his, hands-on time and take his temperature and do those little things. But yeah,
But at
so
the it's so funny because like when you look back, right? And that's all you had was the temperature and the
mhm,
diaper changes. Weren't you so excited for those moments?
yes, yeah, I
Mhm.
was. I would make sure to be there every day, right during his hands-on time, and yeah,
Well, I just want to say that you are pretty amazing. Um,
big. Yeah,
you are special, and I am
thank you,
very
Nicole.
grateful that you reached out to me back in January, and
Yes,
very lucky to have met you. And
yes, I
thank
feel
you
the
for
same.
sharing his story. I mean, it means so much, and this is going to help. a lot of parents. I don't think
I
you
hope
realize it,
so.
but it will. And
I hope so.
I'm gonna put your information in the description of this podcast if
Yeah.
that's okay, so people can
Yeah.
reach out to
Yeah.
you on social
Of
media.
course.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's worth
So
it. Are you
yeah,
back
it
at
is.
Are you back at work?
Yeah, I went back to, I teach dance, and then I also used to be a school teacher. I've been going back to dance just a little bit, like teaching like summer camp and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna do that this summer, and then go back like when they start up, like during when school starts and stuff. So I've just kind of been going back a little bit here and there, but it's been good because if I'm just like at home sitting around all day, it makes things worse. It's good
Yeah,
to stay busy and everything. So
yeah. I bet it's good.
oh,
They seem amazing at that studio. From
they
everything I've
really
seen, they
are.
seem incredible.
They are. They really are. I used to dance there when I was younger. So
Oh,
the owner,
really?
like, yeah, the owner, like, knew me from when I was a teenager and everything. So I feel like she looks out for me and then, like, I have just tons of parents who I've taught their kids, like, from when they were little ones and they're now, like, teenagers. So they all look out for me.
You have a
That's
good
made it,
village,
I do. I was going to say, like, having a good village of people is super, super important during times like
but
yeah, we got to make light out of what we can while we're
you
in
kind of
this
have to have a
situation.
fucked up sense of humor after all
I know,
this.
no, you really do. You do for sure.
I never
Yeah,
understood that. Um, my husband's a cop, and so
yeah,
when we started dating, and like even, for the first couple of years of our relationship before all this, he would say some things that were just so like grotesque,
yeah.
and I would
Hmm.
just be like, "What's wrong? Like that's kind of a little
I
dark."
know.
And then you go through this, and you're just like,
I get it now. I
nothing.
for sure get it now.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah,
But if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So
yeah. It's true.
yeah.
It's
So
true.
all right. Well, I guess I'll sign
Yeah,
off.
sounds
Well,
good.
thank you, Katie, for being here today. We are just so excited to have had you on here and shared your story and Leo's story. And I will include all of her social medias in the description. So she would love any moms to reach out to her if you want to talk about things or need a friend, or want to share your child's story or hear Leo's story even more. But thank you for being here. Thank you
Yes,
so
thank you,
much.
Nicole. I'm so grateful for you, and I just want to say again, you're doing such a great job of putting out what you do for the medical moms and just being a great advocate for medical moms and trach moms and for babies like John and Leo, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Takes a village. Takes a village. So, alrighty. Well, thank you, girl.